Now, Peake, while we stay with Matty Ballin here, he's just about at must-be-picked levels. I'm talking about his fullback, Reece Walsh. Like, where are you at with that? With you're proud Queenslander.
Yes.
Sats likewise. Reece Walsh, Caine Ponga. I just feel like the hot hand almost has to get picked, but it's not always been the Queensland way to go with the most informed player.
Yeah, Reece Walsh is a really interesting one because he's still such a young footy player, and I think that we all know he has the ability to do it. His attacking ability is honestly second to none. I do think there are parts of his game in the Origin arena that we're unsure as to whether they will be exposed or, put pressure on. Because that's what the Origin arena does so well, is that it's almost like they find each of your weaknesses and say, how deeply can we go on that? So with Reece, even though I think a lot of people think he's a lock this year, I would probably like to see another 12 months of just good footy, being basically a key playmaker, a star player of a side, and then we, potentially the following year. Also, Caine Ponga, he's done enough in the jersey. As long as he gets some good minutes behind him, as long as he plays every game until Origin and has no issues in regards to head knocks and all that kind of stuff, I think there has to be a bit of loyalty there and a bit of thank you for what you have done in the jersey, and we know what you can do in the jersey. So KP would be my first guy. Second guy would probably be Hammer because he's been there and done it. And then probably Reece.
He's a forgotten man in many ways, Hammer, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. Brimo is for sure as well. Yeah. If Brimo wasn't injured, I'd have Brimo there before Hammer.
Right? Wow.
So the good thing is we're spoiled for riches.
What are your comments there, or your thoughts on those comments, Matty?
Yeah, I just see Walshy week in and week out, and the improvement he's made from round one. We didn't play round one. We put Selwyn at fullback round 2 to now round 10, and I'd pick him. I just like his confidence. I like his enthusiasm for the game. I think he's really hard to handle. And obviously the Origin arena does expose defensive, lapses or defensive issues that someone has. But he's been working really hard on that. And last week, he just comes to mind, he had a great try saver against South in the left-hand corner. He's working really hard with Darius Boyd on those little details in his game. So for me, I'd definitely pick him. I think Ponga's obviously a great player. Had issues with the head knocks this year, but for me, I'd pick Walshy at fullback.
Thoughts, Sats?
Oh, Caine Ponga every day of the week. If
really?
he went to Bali with his teammates, I think he may lose his position because of his.
Have you got a strong view on that?
Oh, I think it's ridiculous, to be honest. But in saying that, if you are going to do it, don't go out in social media.
No,
don't take photos.
Have they done that? Well, you're the social media that has posted.
No, so it was only Bradman Best that went over there.
Oh, it's one person.
Yeah.
Just hide under the radar.
Oh, okay. Has he been posting anything?
Yeah, he did post something. And
why would you post something?
Well, I think it's just when you're in the environment as a younger person now, you're just more, not desensitized, but it's just a different environment now. It is different. Going to Bali in a break, I personally wouldn't do it. I personally wouldn't do it because it's just too much of it's too much travel in such a short period of time when you need to be fit and ready to go for when the season. Honestly, I'd barely be leaving my house.
So the hoo-ha was over one player?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just Bradman Best.
I think there's a couple of players gone to Fiji with their partners as well and stuff like that. But in saying that, getting back to Caine, I think he's one of the first guys picked. His last game last year, I think he ran for 360 metres or whatever it was. Yep. I think, unfortunately, Reece, I think he'd be 18th man in case anyone has to get activated. I think Reece is a little bit like the man to our left, Matty Ballin, because Cameron Smith's around. He gets to play
as
fast
as me. I wish I was that fast. Jesus.
He plays an Origin, which every player wants to do.
Yeah.
And Reece is behind someone like Caine.
Yeah.
He'll play for Queensland. There's no doubt about that. It's a matter of how many he plays because he's behind this really good young fullback that's going to be there for a number of years. Or does Caine eventually move up into the number 6 when he's 29, 30, like Lockyer's style, when Cam moves on, whatever it may be. But I think at the moment, with Reece Walsh, he's just really at that real infancy stage at the moment. As exciting as he is, unfortunately, he's locked behind a guy that when he puts the Queensland jersey on has proven that he's one of the most reliable players.
What about last night, boys? Jeez, I tell you what, could you just imagine, Ricky, if Canterbury come over the top and they've got that opportunity through the headbutt of Jack Whiten, how they lost possession. Could you just imagine how that world just implodes. What'd you take away from that game? Pete?
Well, as a content creator, I was going, please let it happen. I want to see Rick. I want to see Rick Noble. I want to see the explosion in the press conference. Look, it's a bizarre one. If you look at it just by itself, you go, look what a gutsy win by the Raiders. A win's a win, and they've been putting them together over the season with the Raiders. But it's just like the amount of points that are getting let in. You'd be concerned about that, but I think that we're also not appreciating how far the Bulldogs have come, where they can play so poorly and stay in a game.
Yep.
I'd be satisfied if I was the Raiders fans. Bulldogs fans, I'd just be disappointed with some decisions that were made on the field at important times by probably the wrong players. I think that your senior players need to get the ball when it's crunch time, unless you've got a junior player that has proven before that he can kind of make things happen. And so I just thought at crunch time, the ball wasn't getting into Burton's hands enough. And that would be something that I'd be a little bit disappointed in.
There was one time they went to the right-hand side with Oluwapu, and you should have been turning it on their line. They got it about 30 out. Straight away, they're back on your line, so I could see where you're going there. What were your views, Sats?
Called the game last night. As I said, it was really exciting to call, but I thought the scoreline flattered the Bulldogs, to be honest.
They were never winning the game, were they?
Well, they could have, but they never were.
Yeah,
when you're watching it on the run, if you didn't see the scoreboard.
No.
But the ball that came off the head of Whiten, why you just don't go through and just go, let's have a look, I'm not quite sure.
Crazy.
We've got the technology to do it. And then the Emre Gula try, where they said it was a forward pass from Jack Whiten, I thought it was a try every day of the week. So I actually thought it was quite flattering for the Bulldogs.
I've got a question. Do you reckon they give a penalty try if it wasn't close and it was magic round at the end there?
Do you reckon the adrenaline got the best of them?
Well, I think, let's make this a contest.
Yeah.
We've got enough reason for it.
I'm not certain he would have scored.
Neither am I. I'm not certain.
The ball was quite high.
The ball was high. The defending player was already there.
Mariota hit him just at... Yeah.
Just not even half a second earlier. And I just wondered, if it wasn't a close match, did they
you
give
might
that?
be right.
He didn't get sin binned either.
Well, and he didn't finish. He didn't finish in goal.
I mean, he's a small player with a big forward behind him.
Yeah.
We've seen way crazier hold-ups than that.
Of course. Yeah, that's a fair point.
I want to see if Canberra did lose the game, like Denan saying,
yes.
and Alan Jones sitting in the coach's box with Mick Ricky. Ricky jumped up and went, yes, and they went, no, and I want to see him turn around and grab Alan Jones and just manhandle him like a cage match.
That's right. Hey, Matty, how's Kevy been this year? Obviously, there was all this pressure in the off-season, and I believe he's handled it perfectly. And at the time, the Cobbo comments come out. He just has a knack with... I talk about the book Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you haven't read that book, it is one of the great books. Sounds very corny and cheesy, but he just naturally has all these likeable elements.
Yeah, Kevy's been himself this year, and that's why we're going so well.
So have you seen a different person this year?
I've seen, working closely with him as an assistant coach, I've seen him be really good at delegating jobs, really good at holding us accountable to what we say we're going to do, and then him holding the players accountable. And that's all you want in a head coach. We spoke about it off air, Denan, but he's been really clear with us and really clear with players. And then you're right, his personality is that fun, that bring the enjoyment out of the players. And he's brought that to the staff and the players. And now he's just holding us accountable when we need to be serious. And I think that's been exceptional for us and exceptional for the players.
You know what I love, how he takes the piss out of himself? And I love that. And you've got to be able to do it. He was getting interviewed on one of the Brisbane radio stations one morning, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and one of the on-air guys says, "Okay, for tonight's game, Kev, so your son Billy, is he playing?" He goes, "Yeah, captain, goal kicker."
It's funny you say that, because I interviewed Billy, and the first thing I asked him was so is your coach any good or what? And he took the mickey as well. He said, "Yeah, greatest coach ever as long as I'm signed for the next 10 years." I just quickly on Kevy. You can see on the field how good the boys are going in regards to, there's still some parts of our game that we could make better. But in regards to when we put the foot down, we're better than any team in the comp. I say we like I'm out there. But
I was just going to say, I like how you say we. I reckon that's bad. That's good.
But what I love about Kevy is so many coaches could maybe take some lessons of handling the media. He has handled the media this year so well. Think about how much he had to deal with in the off-season. Think about multiple players coming out and saying, some silly things that could have been a circus for the rest of the year. But because he just took the mickey out of himself it's almost like, well, how can we keep writing headlines when he's already saying the joke out himself?
That's right.
So it's like, I just think the fact that he's just gone, you know what, if something, bad happens or there's a signing or whatever, just make a joke about it as if it's like whatever, instead of getting your back up.
Yep.
And he's handled it perfectly.
Now the coaching staff at Brisbane.
Yep.
Have you gone out together and basically just a closed door environment, not in the public, and just sat down, just had a drink responsibly, have a good session together?
Yeah.
And if you have,
Yep.
has John Cartwright been the one that hasn't changed personality and has still been the most lucid one at the end of the night?
No, Cardi's been good. We've done a lot of social events this year, like just as players and staff, and then there's
He's
a bit
on
of
the
singing.
dice for the best drinker of all time.
Yeah, he's not bad. Alfie Langer goes all right as well.
Yes.
Kevy likes a beer. We had a really good night in the pre-season. We all just got together, had dinner. Partners were there, and Alfie was up singing "Sweet Caroline." Cardi sang a country and western song. He loves his country and western. And Kevy didn't get up, I don't think. But
Does Alfie still have his red undies that he gets down to?
Oh yeah, the real big ones, the real oversized. He's having a great time. But yeah, I mean the club's full of characters. That's what I like about
You've got to
the
have
club.
it, haven't you?
It's good fun. It's and then when it's time to be serious, we're serious.
In 1990, you ever hear the story about the big men versus little men fight? So 1990 Kangaroo Tour, the bus pulls up in the middle of nowhere in between these two villages, apparently. You can ask Kevy about this.
Yeah.
This is outside of Kevy and Cardi getting maced in
France, wasn't it?
France nightclub. But outside of that, they were all into each other, the big men and the little men. So they stopped the bus. They said, "Right, let's settle this." And on the side of the road in this green pasture, apparently there was Cardi and MG and all the big men up against Alfie, Kevy, Kerrod, Benny Elias, and they're just all into each other. And all of a sudden, Big Mal got off the bus and just stopped. Everyone just stopped.
What was I going to say? The rugby union, they do after a game they do the rowboat thing.
Yeah.
Where they'd all have a few drinky poos. Your coaching staff, because you throw in Lee Breers as well.
Oh yeah.
Into that.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys would be hard to beat.
They're good. We have a good time. I'll give them that. There's a good. Actually, Desi Hasler told me a story about Alf and Kev when they went away on a kangaroo tour, and Desi was pretty quiet, as you know, and pretty serious, and all the rest of the boys had been out on the drink, and Kev and Alf must have come home, and I think Alfie was rooming with Desi. And Alf just comes running into the room, jumps straight on Desi in his bed, starts wrestling him nude. And Desi goes, get out of here, Alf, you little... And to this day, Desi still reckons Alf beat him.
Have your say too, by the way. We'll open up the open lines if you want to chat to Matty Ballin or, of course, Satsy or Denan and myself. 1300 01 1170 is the way to do that. What's Bob got to say here, Satsy, on the text line? 0457 736 736.
Right, boys, State of Origin is not a charity. Loyalty goes out the window. The main objective is to select the best fit players, inverted commas, and win the series. To even be talking about Ponga or Turbo is a complete joke. Come on, gents, let's get serious. Well, Bob, unfortunately, only speaking from a Queensland point of view, loyalty has played a huge role, hasn't it, guys?
Mate, it's about setting a culture.
Yeah, it's about players that I listen to really good stories when Mal talks, and Mal was he's with Jimmy Smith on SEN each and every week, and I was listening to their discussion the other day, and he spoke. There were certain players that weren't fit when it came to the way they were playing physically week in, week out for their NRL team. They weren't in great form. He said, but the player that first comes to mind is Nate Miles. He said, I just knew when Origin was around, I'd make a phone call to Nate and say, mate, I know you've been playing great. How's the body? It's okay. How's the head? It's not too bad. I just can't get anything right at the moment. Can I rely on you? Okay, no worries. He said, I'd bring him into camp. He said, I knew I trusted him. He knew that the teammates loved having him around. And he said, I just knew Nate Miles would be one of my best players. And each and every time we played an Origin with Nate, he was.
Yeah.
I've got a similar one with Dane Gagai. Like I played against him a lot, and just everyone talks about Origin Gagai, but whenever he played for Newcastle or whoever he's playing for, it was a good player. But as soon as he pulled that jersey on, it was just like next level. Like, he's just unbelievable. Just grew a leg. The style of footy he plays for Queensland in State of Origin is just unbelievable for someone who's done so much for a long period of time.
I think also the message that let's say you've got a player that's a bit out of form, but he gets selected because there's a bit of loyalty. The message it sends to him is almost like you're putting extra pressure on him, like, you better not let us down because we got your back, now you've got our back. But I also think it sends a message to the rest of the team that this is what we're about. Yeah. We're about having each other's back on the field every second of the 80 minutes. And so, of course, you can't be too loyal, but I do think it plays a part.
Now, Bob, to answer the other part of your question about Tommy Tabojevic, I'll ask you, Joel. Yep. I mean, obviously out last week before he was wounded. Last night he looked like, again, he wasn't his best. I don't know whether you guys identified that really early, Matty, but as a New South Welshman, can Freddie afford to pick him because he looks ginger at the moment?
Yeah, no, I think you've got to think big picture too. So think ahead to Origin 2. I'd be saying, Tommy, just get yourself right. Forget about this racing the clock for Origin 1. Think about Origin 2. In the meantime, I know you've been pushing Swaliti. He's in the mix. Campbell Graham is just about there now. He's played for Australia, so he'll be there on that right-hand side. Latrell on the left-hand side. Your options at the back may be To'o on the right. He's been playing a lot of football there with Tupu on the left-hand side, perhaps. So there's plenty of options there for them. But what was I going to say to you, Denan, about... Oh, so just on Dane Gagai. And obviously Matty's part of the coaching staff, so impossible to answer. But will he be there in the centres?
Well, he's been playing good footy this year.
Yeah.
If you've been watching the Knights, you know he's playing good footy. I think absolutely. And people might sit there and go, well, hang on a sec. How can you saying being loyal to KP but not to Tom Trbojevic? There's a difference between a bloke that's going out ripping and tearing at 100% but just not at his best form and a bloke going out and unfortunately his body is just not at 70%, like not at 100%. There's two different things, you know what I mean? You'd rather a bloke that is out there ripping and tearing 100%, but certain things aren't working for him than a guy that is clearly, he's hampered by injury. Like he's trying to get through it. So I think there is a bit of a difference between KP. As I said, as long as KP can get through each game before now and that Origin 1, I think that you probably stick with him.
Another option, which I don't know that will get over the line, but your right-hand side, Matty, has let in next to no tries all year. The captain of that right-hand side, Katoni Staggs.
Yeah.
Mate, they're flying over there. Then you'd have the option for Campbell Graham on the wing, but I don't know that he'll get that, but, geez, I reckon he's close.
Staggs is a real interesting one, and I'm doing the defence at Broncos, and when I think of Staggsy when I first came there, I just think
what about he giving himself a rap just then? That was like just another basically I'm responsible for that right side. You know, like you take a Tony, I say Ballin.
6 points last night, Kemp. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought. But
play on.
Yeah, so I just think of him as being a really good attacking weapon. Loves to carry the football, give him the ball early. But Staggs' strength is his kick chase and his tackling. That's what he loves doing. And he's just a real simple guy, loves to get out there and compete and has the ability just to make really good one-on-one tackles. So,
and what I find, obviously watching the Broncos really closely, is that the Katoni Staggs game of 2 years ago, if he wasn't getting good attacking ball, you didn't see him. Yeah. But now he's impacting games with his defence. So it's giving him an extra string where no longer does he have to be constantly told, you didn't do anything in the game because you didn't get the ball, and you go in and get runs. He can say, all right, well, the ball's not coming my way, so let me do a good kick chase. Let me make a big hit. And so I think he's rounded out his game perfectly.
Yeah, and so having him at right centre, Campbell Graham on the wing, I wouldn't hate that either.